If you've ever walked through Times Square, you've probably seen it. That massive digital clock spinning faster every second. U.S. national debt. Right now, it's racing past $35 trillion and quietly aiming for $38 trillion. That number is so big it doesn't even feel real anymore. But this video isn't about panic, and it's not about politics. It's about something far more uncomfortable. The U.S. government is already dealing with this debt, not by paying it back, not by cutting spending, but by slowly making it disappear. Most people don't even realize it's happening. Stay until the end, because once you understand the mechanism, you'll never look at inflation, savings, or safe money the same way again. Let's put this into perspective. If you stacked $38 trillion in $1 bills, the pile wouldn't just reach the moon, it would go past it. For decades, politicians told us this number didn't matter. They said things like, "We owe the debt to ourselves," or, "As long as the economy grows, it's manageable." Debt was treated like a video game score, a big number that looks scary but has no real-world consequences. But around 2024, the math stopped working. For the first time in U.S. history, the government now spends more on interest payments than on national defense. Think about that. More money goes to paying bondholders from the past than to equipping today's military. Interest payments are approaching $1 trillion per year, more than Medicaid, more than most government programs. At that point, debt stops being just a number. It becomes a predator. In normal life, debt has a solution. If you're drowning in credit card bills, you cut spending. No restaurants, no subscriptions, no upgrades. But governments don't work like households. Most U.S. spending is mandatory. Social Security, Medicare, pensions. These are promises made to an aging population. And politically, they can't be touched.
Where's my money?
So when interest costs rise, the government can't simply cut spending. Instead, it does the only thing left. It borrows more. New debt is issued to pay interest on old debt. It's like using one credit card to pay the minimum balance on another. That increases total debt, which increases next year's interest, which requires even more borrowing. This is a mathematical feedback loop, and once it starts, it grows exponentially. At this scale, there are only three historical ways a country deals with massive debt. The first is austerity, brutal spending cuts, and massive tax hikes. To balance the budget, the U.S. would need to double income taxes or dismantle the military. Any politician who suggests cutting Social Security by 30% is committing political. Austerity simply isn't happening. The second option is default. Just admit you won't pay. Countries like Argentina have done this before. But the U.S. is different. U.S. Treasury bonds are the foundation of the global financial system. Banks, pensions, trade contracts, everything assumes treasuries are risk-free. If the U.S. defaults, global finance freezes overnight. Credit cards stop working, trade collapses. That's not an option either, which leaves only one path. I can't cover everything in one video, so drop a comment about what you'd like to learn next. A huge part of understanding money and how it really works is explained in The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Check the links in the description. Buying the book also supports the author. The third option is the one every empire eventually chooses. Rome, Weimar Germany, post-war Britain all followed the same pattern. It's called the soft default. You don't refuse to pay your debt. You pay every dollar, but you pay it back with money that's worth far less than when you borrowed it. You print the difference. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's policy. Just never said out loud. If the government owes $30 trillion and inflation runs at 5%, the real value of that debt shrinks by 5% every year. That's $1.5 trillion erased in purchasing power without raising taxes or cutting programs. Bondholders get paid, but their money buys less food, less housing, less energy. Inflation does the dirty work quietly. For decades, the Federal Reserve was in charge. It raised interest rates to fight inflation, even if it caused economic pain. That era is ending. Today, the debt is so large that the Fed can't raise rates high enough without bankrupting the government. If interest rates hit 10%, like they did in the 1980s, interest on $38 trillion would be $3.8 trillion per year, more than total U.S. tax revenue. So the Fed is trapped. It must tolerate higher inflation, keep rates lower than they should be, and protect the Treasury. This is called fiscal dominance. The central bank's independence is fading. The money printer is now fused to government spending. This isn't a sudden collapse, it's a slow boil. The debt clock will keep rising. $40 trillion, $50 trillion. But the dollar will quietly lose value. At 5% inflation, your savings lose half their purchasing power in 14 years. That's the real plan. Shrink the debt by shrinking your savings. No crisis headlines required. They use three main tools. First, captive buyers. Banks, pensions, and insurance companies are legally required to hold U.S. Treasuries. Not because they're great investments, but because regulations force them to. This creates artificial demand and keeps interest rates suppressed. Second, inflation measurement. CPI has been quietly rewritten since the 1980s. If steak gets expensive, CPI assumes you'll eat hamburger instead. Your standard of living drops, but inflation looks contained. If we used older methods, inflation today would likely be double the official number. Third, the Fed as buyer of last resort. When foreign buyers slow down, the Fed steps in and prints money to buy bonds no one else wants. This pushes up stocks, housing, and assets, creating the illusion of wealth. More dollars, less value. This system doesn't hit everyone equally. New money enters through financial institutions, which buy assets before prices rise. By the time wages increase, inflation has already done its damage. Asset owners win, savers lose. The middle class gets quietly liquidated. Saving cash becomes a guaranteed loss. The U.S. is not going to default loudly. It's going to default politely through inflation, regulation, and dilution. If your money earns 4% while real inflation runs at 8%, you are paying off the national debt. The winners will own scarce assets. The losers will trust safe money. This isn't about fear. It's about understanding the system you're already inside. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
If you want to get out of debt and think about money differently, I highly recommend reading these two books, along with other books linked in the description. These books dig into how money and the economy really work, showing you the system from the inside. It's the best investment you can make in yourself, because understanding this stuff gives you control over your finances, helps you make smarter decisions, and protects your future wealth. Now, I know a lot of you are probably asking, why can't we just forget this debt? Even though the $38 trillion debt might seem almost made up, It's not something you can just ignore. This isn't like a credit card you can toss aside. It affects every corner of the economy. Interest rates, inflation, government spending, taxes, and even the value of your own savings all hinge on it. Think about it. The debt might feel abstract, but its consequences are very real, and they creep into your daily life in ways most people don't even notice. It's like a slow-moving shadow that touches everything, from the price of groceries to the stability of the dollar. Forgetting about it isn't an option because the ripple effects would hit all of us sooner or later. Economics is complicated, but understanding it matters more than most people realize. It shapes jobs, prices, investment opportunities, and ultimately, the future of your money. Staying informed isn't just smart, it's essential. If you found this useful, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share this video with a friend who cares about finance. Knowledge is your best defense in a world where money and policy are always shifting.